small town named Willow Creek, there lived a man named Thomas. Thomas was a kind-hearted dreamer with big ambitions. He wanted to become a successful inventor. However, no one in his town believed in him. They thought his ideas were strange, and they often laughed at his inventions. But that never stopped Thomas. He had a burning desire to create something that would change lives. Thomas spent his days in a little workshop behind his house. The walls were covered with sketches of his inventions, from flying machines to machines that could talk. His best friend, Ella, would often visit him. Ella was a cheerful girl with a passion for art. She always encouraged Thomas and reminded him that one day his hard work would pay off. The first project Thomas worked on was a simple water filtering system. He believed that clean drinking water was important for everyone. He spent weeks gathering materials, watching videos, and drawing plans. When he finally built his invention, he was excited. Thomas invited the townspeople to see his creation. However, when he demonstrated how it worked, it failed miserably. The water was still dirty, and the people mocked him. Thomas felt crushed. Not one to give up, Thomas moved on to his second invention, a flying kite that could soar higher than any kite ever made. He spent days designing it, carefully choosing the right materials. Once it was ready, he took it to the park. The townspeople gathered around, eager to see if he would succeed this time. He ran as fast as he could, but instead of flying high, the kite got stuck in a tree. Laughter echoed around him. With each failure, Thomas grew more determined. He tried his hand at creating a talking doll that could sing songs to children. He poured all his energy into this project, believing it would bring joy. But when he revealed the doll, it only made strange sounds, and the kids were disappointed. Again, the laughter rang in his ears. After 10 failures, Thomas had already lost count of how many times he had tried. Still, he remained hopeful. His friends in the town slowly started to turn their backs on him. They thought I would never succeed. But not Ella. She continued to support him, bringing him hot soup and encouraging words whenever he felt down. Months went by, and Thomas faced even more hardships. He tried to build a bicycle that could run on air, but it fell apart before he could test it. He attempted to create a weather machine to help farmers predict rain, but it created a mini storm in his backyard instead. The townspeople laughed harder, and Thomas's heart ached. One rainy afternoon, while Thomas and Ella were in the workshop, she noticed a sad look on his face. "Thomas, you have to keep trying," she said gently. "You have so many ideas. Why not try something different this time?" That sparked a thought in Thomas's mind. What if he combined all his failed ideas into one big invention? Instead of focusing on one issue, he could tackle many at once. He felt excitement filling him up again. He decided to create a multifunctional device that could purify water, talk to children, and even predict the weather. Determined to make this work, Thomas worked day and night, barely taking breaks. He gathered all his past inventions and merged the most successful parts of each into a single machine. It was as if each failure had taught him a lesson that he could now use to succeed. As the days passed, the townspeople began to notice how dedicated Thomas was. They stopped laughing and watched him silently as he tinkered with his work. Even so, doubt still lingered in their eyes. Finally, after 99 failed attempts, Thomas was ready to unveil his creation. He named it the Wonder Machine. On the day of the big reveal, he invited everyone in town to his backyard. Thomas was nervous. What if it failed again? But he remembered Ella's encouraging words, and that gave him strength. People gathered around as Thomas explained the Wonder Machine and its features. With bated breath, he turned it on. The machine whirred and clicked, lights blinking on its body. At first, it seemed to hesitate, and the crowd held its breath. But then, to everyone's surprise, it began filtering water brilliantly, the pure liquid flowing into a jar. Cheers erupted, and Thomas felt a spark of hope. Next, he pressed a button, and the machine began to speak. It sang songs with a sweet melodic voice, making all the children clap and dance with joy. Lastly, it displayed colorful graphics showing weather predictions, impressing the local farmers. The townspeople stood in awe, astonished by what they were witnessing. The laughter that used to surround Thomas was replaced with applause and cheers. They finally recognized his talent and determination. After the show, the mayor of Willow Creek congratulated Thomas. "You turned your failures into success," he said warmly. "We had no idea you had the heart of an inventor." Thomas smiled, his heart full of joy. Ella rushed to his side and hugged him tightly. "You did it," she whispered. From that day on, Thomas became a well-respected inventor in Willow Creek. He taught kids in the town how to embrace their dreams, no matter how many times they might fail. People now sought his advice for their inventions, and Thomas was always ready to help. Thomas had learned that every failure was not the end, but a step toward success. His 101st try changed not only his life, but inspired everyone around him. The fear of failure melted away as hope blossomed in the hearts of the townspeople. And all it took was one brave attempt after 100 falls to finally soar above the rest. In the quaint cobblestone town of Everglen lived a young inventor named Thomas Ashton. Thomas wasn't your average townsman. While others were content with their simple lives, Thomas dreamed of creating something extraordinary, something that would change the world. His workshop, a small shed behind his house, was filled with gears, wires, and half-finished contraptions. From a young age, Thomas was fascinated by flight. He devoured books about birds, airplanes, and anything that could soar through the sky. His ultimate dream was to build a flying machine, something that would allow anyone to experience the freedom of flight. His first attempt was a simple glider made of wood and canvas. It crashed miserably, barely lifting off the ground. But Thomas wasn't discouraged. He saw it as a learning experience, a step closer to his goal. Over the next few years, Thomas built and tested countless prototypes. Each one was different, incorporating new ideas and improvements based on the failures of the previous one. He tried different wing shapes, different engine designs, and different control mechanisms. But each time, something went wrong. Some crashed upon takeoff, others spun out of control, and still others simply refused to leave the ground. The townsfolk of Everglen began to see Thomas as an eccentric, a dreamer chasing an impossible goal. They would chuckle behind his back, calling him the Flying Fool. But Thomas paid them no mind. He was too focused on his work, too driven by his passion to care about their opinions. Among the few who believed in Thomas was his childhood friend, Emily Carter. Emily was a bright and kind young woman who worked as a teacher in the town school. She had always admired Thomas's determination and his unwavering belief in himself. She would often visit his workshop, offering encouragement and helping him with his calculations. "Don't give up, Thomas," she would say. "I know you can do it. You just need to keep trying." Thomas appreciated Emily's support more than words could say. Her belief in him kept him going, even when he felt like giving up. As the years passed, Thomas's failures began to mount. He had built and crashed 99 flying machines. Each failure cost him time, money, and energy. Doubts began to creep into his mind. Was he chasing a foolish dream? Was he wasting his life on something that was simply impossible? One evening, after another failed test flight, Thomas sat in his workshop, surrounded by the wreckage of his latest creation. He felt defeated, exhausted, and ready to give up. "I can't do it, Emily," he said, his voice filled with despair. "I've tried everything, but nothing seems to work. Maybe I'm just not good enough." Emily sat beside him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Don't say that, Thomas," she said. "You're one of the most talented and determined people I know. You've come so far and you've learned so much. You can't give up now." "But what if I fail again?" Thomas asked. "What if I build another machine and it crashes just like all the others?" "Then you'll learn from that failure, too," Emily said. "Each failure brings you closer to success. You just need to keep learning, keep improving, and keep trying." Her words struck a chord with Thomas. He realized that she was right. He couldn't let his fear of failure hold him back. He had to keep going, keep learning, and keep striving towards his dream. With renewed determination, Thomas began working on his 100th flying machine. He incorporated everything he had learned from his previous failures. He refined the wing design, improved the engine, and perfected the control system. He spent countless hours in his workshop, meticulously crafting each part, ensuring that everything was just right. Finally, After months of hard work, the machine was ready. It was the most beautiful and sophisticated flying machine he had ever built. It was sleek, elegant, and powerful. It was a testament to his years of dedication and perseverance. The day of the test flight arrived. The entire town of Everglen gathered in the town square to witness the event. They were curious to see if Thomas would finally succeed, or if he would suffer yet another embarrassing failure. Thomas stood beside his machine, his heart pounding with anticipation. He took a deep breath, climbed into the cockpit, and started the engine. The engine roared to life, filling the air with deafening noise. He glanced at Emily, who gave him a reassuring smile. He nodded, released the brakes, and the machine began to move forward. It sped across the town square, gathering speed. Then, with a mighty roar, it lifted off the ground. The crowd gasped in amazement as Thomas's flying machine soared into the sky. It climbed higher and higher, circling above the town. Thomas piloted the machine with skill and precision, performing daring maneuvers and demonstrating its capabilities. The townsfolk of Everglen watched in awe as Thomas flew through the air. They had never seen anything like it before. They realized that Thomas wasn't a fool. He was a visionary, a genius who had achieved the impossible. After a thrilling flight, Thomas landed the machine safely back in the town square. The crowd erupted in applause, cheering and congratulating him on his success. Thomas stepped out of the cockpit, his face beaming with pride. He had finally done it. He had built a flying machine that worked. He had achieved his lifelong dream. Emily rushed towards him, throwing her arms around him in a warm embrace. "I knew you could do it, Thomas," she said, tears of joy streaming down her face. "We did it, Emily," Thomas said, his voice filled with emotion. "We did it together." Thomas's invention changed the world. His flying machines revolutionized transportation, allowing people to travel vast distances in a fraction of the time. They also opened up new possibilities for exploration, commerce, and communication. Thomas became a world-renowned inventor, admired and respected by people everywhere. But he never forgot the lessons he had learned from his failures. He always remembered the importance of perseverance, dedication, and the support of loved ones. And so, the story of Thomas Ashton, the flying fool who failed 100 times but whose 101st try changed everything, became a legend in Everglen, a testament to the power of dreams and the importance of never giving up. His success story inspired generations to pursue their dreams, no matter how impossible they may seem. It reminded them that failure is not the end, but simply a stepping stone on the path to success, and that with enough determination, anything is possible. Once upon a time in a small village, there lived a young boy named Sam. Sam was known for his adventurous spirit and curiosity. He was always trying new things, whether it was climbing trees, building small boats, or even attempting to cook. However, there was one dream Sam held dear. He wanted to build a flying machine. Sam had seen birds soaring through the sky and wished more than anything to join them. Every time he saw them flap their wings and glide through the air, he felt a tug in his heart. So, with a determined mind, he decided to create his own flying machine. His friends, Mia and Jake, were excited and promised to help him. Sam gathered old wood, scraps of metal, and anything else he could find in his father's shed. His first design was a simple glider. He worked day and night, drawing plans and dreaming of the day he would fly. With the help of Mia and Jake, he built the glider just in time for their village's annual festival. When the big day came, everyone gathered to watch. Sam climbed onto his glider, his heart racing with excitement. But as he pushed off the hill, the glider wobbled and crashed to the ground, breaking into pieces. The laughter of the villagers stung, and Sam felt like giving up. But his friends gathered around him. "Don't worry, Sam. It happens to everyone," Mia said, trying to comfort him. "Yeah, it's just the first try. We'll fix it and try again," Jake added. So Sam picked himself up, fixed the glider, and tried again. This time, he made adjustments based on what he learned from his first failure. But the result was the same. Crash after crash. Sam tried to fly his glider, and each time it ended with a crash landing. After the third failure, he started to wonder if his dream was impossible. One evening, as the sun set, Sam sat on a hill, feeling defeated. Maybe I'm not meant to fly, he thought. But Mia and Jake wouldn't let him give up. They knew that persistence was key, so they motivated him to brainstorm a new idea. After a few days of thinking and talking, they decided to build a new flying machine. This time, they wanted to create a small airplane. Sam was excited. He knew this design would be different, and he had learned from his previous mistakes. They gathered more materials from their village. They even sought help from Mr. Brown, the village carpenter, who had experience with building things. The trio worked hard. Each day after school, they would gather at Sam's house and build their airplane. They drew plans and helped each other figure out how to make it stronger and safer. The excitement built with every piece they added. Finally, after many weeks, their airplane was ready. Sam and his friends painted it bright blue, adding yellow stripes. It looked beautiful, and Sam could hardly believe this was the same person who had crashed so many times before. On the day of the big test flight, the whole village buzzed with excitement. People gathered at the hill, some bringing snacks and drinks, while others stood with curious eyes and big smiles. Sam felt nervous, but also filled with hope. He had a good feeling this time. As he climbed into the pilot's seat, he glanced back at Mia and Jake, who waved encouragingly. Sam took a deep breath and started the engine. With a loud roar, the plane came to life. The villagers cheered, and Sam's heart surged with pride. He rolled the plane down the hill, and as he lifted off the ground, he felt a rush of air beneath his wings. The plane soared into the sky. Sam couldn't believe it. He was flying. Below him, he saw the tiny houses and the winding river. His friends were jumping and cheering, and the villagers applauded. Sam felt like a king up in the clouds. But as he flew higher, he noticed the plane began to shake. Panic washed over him. Something was wrong. He remembered all the times he had crashed before. He took a deep breath and recalled everything Mr. Brown had taught him. Focused, he steered the plane gently, trying to locate the issue. Finally, he spotted a small wobble in one of the wings. With quick thinking, Sam remembered a trick he had learned during a conversation about balancing forces. He adjusted the controls carefully, guiding the plane to stabilize. It worked. The plane steadied, and Sam felt the joy rush back. He flew circles in the sky, basking in the freedom of flight. After a while, he decided it was time to come down. Landing was tricky, but he remembered everything he practiced. With a smooth touch, he landed the plane safely on the ground, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Sam stepped out of the plane and was immediately surrounded by his friends and villagers. They lifted him into the air, celebrating his incredible achievement. Sam looked at Mia and Jake, tears of happiness in his eyes. "I did it," he shouted. "We did it together." "You never gave up, Sam," Mia said proudly. "That's what made the difference." Jake added, "You learn from each failure, and that's how you succeeded." From that day onward, Sam became known as the boy who flew. He inspired many in the village to chase their dreams, no matter how many times they fell. He learned that failure wasn't the end, but a stepping stone toward success. Sam's story spread far and wide, reminding everyone that with tenacity and support, even the most daring dreams could take flight. And so, Sam continued to build and design new flying machines, dreaming of faraway places. His 101st try changed everything, but it was a journey of all the tries before that made him strong. The sky became a friend to Sam, and every day held the promise of adventure.